Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we're going to be talking about definitely some bad news coming out of the LCS. Right away, it's pretty concerning, but it does have the potential to be like horrible news, like devastating news, like really bad news, not only for the LCS, but potentially a lot of teams in the LCS, potentially the LEC as well, potentially League of Legends esports, and maybe just esports in general, and maybe even more than that. We'll talk about all of that in this video today. It starts with some TSM news, but it's definitely something that you can kind of extrapolate out and apply to a lot of different other teams, esports situations. It should be a pretty spicy one. But first, a word from today's sponsor, of course, which is PrizePicks. This is a really awesome, simple, easy to use website and app that you can get in the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. Today, you pick your over-under on player props to win up to 10x your cash, big payouts, 24/7 live support, and fast and secure withdrawals. They offer esports. Of course, they offer League of Legends esports. They do LCS, LEC, LPL, LCK. They did MSI. They did EU Masters. They're going to be doing Worlds. They do all of the esports that we know and love and already watch all the time. So if we're already watching them, we might as well, add a little something extra to these games, especially to show off all that knowledge and those big brain, predictions and everything that we have. The player props for League of Legends esports are generally kills. They'll pick a player, they'll pick a number. You just got to pick whether you think they're going to get over under that amount of kills. String a couple of those picks together, and like it says, you can win up to 10x your cash. First link in the description below if you guys want to make some of your own picks today. PrizePicks actually going to match your first deposit up to $100, which is an awesome deal. So thank you so much to them for helping me out, supporting me, helping you guys out, giving you an awesome deal. And I hope you guys go help them out because they've been really awesome to work with, and I would appreciate that a ton. With that being said, let's get right into this. First, I want to start with this. This is not the main topic of this video, but, every once in a while people are like, oh, talk about multiple stories in a video, yada, yada, yada. Okay, let's do that. We got this from Jacob Wolf. He said, Riot will be announcing today that Worlds 2022 will no longer be going to Toronto for the semifinals. Instead, the semifinals portion of the event will be relocating to Atlanta and will take place at State Farm Arena, home of the Atlanta Hawks. And then, he goes on to say, not yet seen anything from Riot's official channels, but they sent this out to certain media under embargo, and Deserto seemingly has confirmation with quotes from Nas, global head of esports at Riot Games. I didn't know that's who that was. But yeah, kind of a big deal. This does suck in a lot of ways, obviously for Canadians, because in the NA region, a lot of it actually is Canada. A lot of the players are from Canada. I don't know how good viewership is from Canada. I don't know, stuff like that. I don't know if a lot of the money and everything from the LCS comes from Canada. I would be pretty surprised. I'm sure most of the viewership and money and ad dollars and everything does still come from the United States, but obviously it would still be cool if they went to Canada. But now we have play-ins in Mexico City. We have group stage and quarterfinals in New York City. Now we have semifinals coming to Atlanta, and then the semifinals in Oracle Arena in San Francisco or Golden State or whatever, I do believe. So it's kind of interesting. It does suck a little bit for people who are excited about it coming to Canada, but for me, this is cool for me because I live in Florida now, so this is really close to me. Maybe I'll end up going to semifinals. Who knows? But Monte Cristo does go on to say, he says it looks like this is a result of players potentially not being able to secure multi-entry visas to the United States in time. Because, if they went from Mexico to New York City, that'd be them coming into the United States. Then if they went to Canada for Toronto and then tried to come back for the World Finals, that would be them entering the United States multiple times, which is apparently another level of visa or harder to do or whatever. But now if they go from Mexico and then stay in the United States for 3 different, rounds, it could simplify the issue a little bit. So kind of a big update there. If you're excited about Toronto, doesn't seem like it's happening, but hey, Atlanta, I'm pretty sure the arenas and everything in Atlanta are really nice and really cool, actually. So overall, maybe it'll still be a positive. But the big news we're talking about today is this from Hunter over at The Guard. This is the guy that works with, he doesn't anymore as much, but he used to work with Jake Lucky over at Esports Talk. They've now kind of branched on since then. But he tweeted out, over 20 plus people have been laid off from TSM today. He says he has heard that it partially could be related to TSM's failed crypto investment and strategy. And some people are like, oh, what does that mean? Failed crypto investment or whatever. Well, it could mean a couple of things. One, TSM's big FTX deal, 10 years, 200 million, whatever the heck was going on. That could have been all cash. It potentially could have been partially crypto too. That is really speculative, and that is, kind of a rumor that's going around. I don't know the exact specifics of the contract. I don't know if the exact specifics have been released or anything, and that could be potentially, not true at all, but that is something to at least consider that, if they did accept some portion of this deal in crypto, obviously cryptocurrencies have not been performing that well, and maybe some of their money has been lost to just, the kind of depreciating asset that any kind of cryptocurrency that they've been holding this in, if they got in like FTX tokens or something like that, or even in Bitcoin or whatever. The other potential is that FTX maybe wants to dial their deal back a little bit because maybe TSM's portion of the deal hasn't been performing as well, or maybe just, hey, the global landscape of things is changing really, really fast. We're heading into maybe a recession, maybe a depression. Asset prices are down across the board. People are not as excited to be throwing money around. Interest rates are rising. Stuff's getting expensive. Stuff's getting crazy. Inflation's wild. The world is way, way, way different than when, FTX and TSM penned this deal. And that's something that I've been telling you guys, that yes, there could be issues in this deal. You can't just sign a 10-year deal and say it's going to go off for 10 years with no hitches or anything like that. But again, I don't know if this has been confirmed or anything like that, but it seems like, hey, potentially TSM is getting hit pretty hard by something going on and maybe leading to a lot of layoffs. And there are rumors going around that we could be seeing this from other teams. I covered earlier today the fact that Astralis is maybe looking to sell their LEC spot. They're looking to maybe jump ship. And if TSM is having some financial issues and that's leading to layoffs, imagine what's going on with some of the other teams. Because we know TSM isn't even like the biggest spender in the LCS, but they're also one of the teams that is profitable or claims to be profitable or whatever. So then you start thinking about, what about the smaller teams in the LCS? What about like the CLGs, the Golden Guardians, the Immortals? How bad are they getting hit by this? Are they going to need to lay off? Are they going to have to cut spending even further? Are they not going to be able to spend on their League of Legends team like at all next year? What are their rosters going to look like? And are they going to have to sell, or are they going to be incentivized to sell? And then is that going to open the door for a Sentinels? Is that going to open the door for a Beast Gaming? Is that going to open the door, for one of these other teams to maybe make their way into the LCS in 2023? But then I also worry for the bigger spending teams, like the Team Liquids, the teams that are just throwing out tons and tons of cash every year. They're probably not profitable. They, are dropping big bags. And one of the allures of coming to Team Liquid, they're not a team that, has really had a ton of international success. Yes, they made it to an MSI final, but I don't believe they've ever even made it out of groups at Worlds. One of the allures of coming to North America and Team Liquid is that this is where you're going to make the most money. You are going to make more money playing for Team Liquid than anywhere in the world. So, hey, all the good players in the West, come to Team Liquid. And that's what's been happening. They have Hans Sama, Bwipo, Core JJ, Bjergsen. That's a crazy, crazy, crazy lineup. But it's also a crazy, crazy expensive one. So going into next year, are Team Liquid's investors, are their sponsors, all that stuff, are they still going to be around, all of them? Are they still going to be around to the same extent? Are they going to dial back? Are the investors going to want them to dial back? Are they going to, be pressured more towards profitability? Who knows? But I do know in a recessionary / depressionary environment, what you don't want to be is a speculative company, an unprofitable business model, because those things are going to get hit even harder. And when people are looking at ways to save money and to cut back and stuff, esports is definitely going to be a candidate, because overall, a lot of these teams and a lot of these organizations, and even the LCS and the LEC, they're just bad business models. Maybe forever, but at least right now, they are just bad business models. They're money losers. They are kind of, just cash burners. And maybe at one day in the future, it's going to be something insane, or you'll see some crazy return. But right now, it's a lot of speculation going on, similar to the crypto and similar to a lot of the other things in the markets right now. And we're seeing a kind of a kickback on all that. So this could be bad news overall. And then I'm just thinking about just even TSM in general. Like, hey, Spica's about to be a free agent this offseason. He's going to be an expensive one. If TSM's having to make layoffs and cutbacks and all that stuff, are they going to be able to offer Spica, some kind of big contract that's going to get to keep him to stay? Are they going to have to go cheap? Are they going to lose Spica? What's their roster going to look like next year? Who knows? And then, just knowing that, yes, this could absolutely affect the LEC teams as well, because we know the LEC teams, even though LEC viewership is like better and LEC is more exciting and people like the LEC more or whatever, LCS still might make more money, or at least makes comparative money, because the amount of money in the United States and the amount that investors are and sponsors and advertisers and stuff are willing to pay for US viewership. We saw the Twitch leaks like a year ago or whatever that showed that on Twitch, the LCS had made more money than the LEC over the past 2 years, despite having less viewership, despite having less hours watched. So even though the LEC, it seems to be doing better with better viewership and all that stuff, there's still ways that the LCS can make more money. And, the LEC already spends less on players, all those things. So if those teams have to cut back even further, it might be even harder for LEC teams and European teams to hang on to that European talent. Those players could continue to, leave to go to the LCS or other places. Even if the LCS cuts back spending, if the LEC cuts back spending as well, that could incentivize them to leave because, right now the LEC is paying less, but if it's still paying good enough, you can hang on to some guys. But if the LEC is paying less and it's not enough to keep you to stay, they might want to jump ship. I don't know. It's just a crazy time. It's a scary time. Layoffs suck. This whole thing has been crazy. It's been a crazy environment over the last couple of years with all the money, all the investors, all the stuff getting piled in. And now if the rug gets pulled out from under it, who knows? Now, obviously in the short term, it's horrible. For the people who are losing their jobs, for the money getting cut back, who knows how it's going to affect everybody. It absolutely sucks. But on the bright side, sometimes these shakedowns, sometimes, these series of layoffs, these years of, cutbacks and everything, it can have a light at the end of the tunnel because sometimes it does kind of make teams take a step back and look at their business model and look at the sustainability of things. It shakes out the bad orgs and the cheap orgs and the orgs who are not sustainable. If we did lose a couple of the bottom teams and some better organizations that were more financially sound, better branding, better content, all that stuff, and they made their way into the LCS and the LEC, sometimes it can make markets stronger in the long run to have a little short-term, turmoil or instability or whatever. So I would say, yes, this is scary. Yes, this does suck. I'm already seeing, on my end, my YouTube ad revenue is starting to drop. Not necessarily because viewership is dropping, but because ad rates are already starting to drop. But just understand that there's so many people in the esports industry right now that are overpaid. There's so many people who are getting paid more than they're worth and getting paid more than they're producing. So a lot of people that are probably going to end up losing their jobs are going to be people who were overpaid to begin with, or were just kind of, people speculating on them, taking a chance on them. There's so many writers who make full-time salaries, but they don't produce, $40,000 worth of content or ad revenue or stuff in return for their businesses and all that stuff. I'm sure there's people who work for all these orgs that don't make up their own salary back in pay and all that stuff. So at the end of the day, those people are unproductive assets. And if stuff like that gets shaken out, again, it still sucks for them in the short term, but that's just business. That's how these things go. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm much more interested to see how this is going to affect, teams in both the LEC and LCS, what teams we even have and how it's going to affect their spending going forward. Like, are we going to have an off season where players aren't getting these big crazy contracts anymore? Players aren't moving around teams as much anymore? Is spending still going to be okay? They're just going to cut back on, staff and management and that stuff. Who knows? But pretty crazy times, and it seems to be starting with TSM. But I don't think this is like hey, if this was just a TSM fucking up, you guys know I'd be the first one to point the finger at TSM. I do not think that this is. It's probably a little bit TSM specific, because I do think TSM's made some weird and dumb decisions over the past couple of years that have probably, lost them some money. But I don't think this is TSM specific. I think we're going to start seeing, more and more teams coming out with news like this over the next couple of months and maybe even over the next couple of years. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't end up too bad, but it's definitely some scary, crazy times. But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Let me drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate that so much. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about all this. Love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe, stay up to date on all my latest content. Consider checking out Prize Picks, first link in the description below. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.